I remembered to hit record this time. I was listening to our last episode this morning just so I had a little bit of a refresher of what we were talking about last week. And that's what led me into today's topic, actually.
That's good. I'm glad you're on top of this.
Give us 10 seconds of silence and then we'll begin, sir. All right, you ready? Hi, I'm Nick.
Hi, I'm Larry.
Welcome back to LTL, everybody. We're going to continue on a little bit of what we talked about last week as far as getting off track. I'd let you guys know that I have been kind of starting to fall off of track with my self-improvement. And I mean, I've been kind of reflecting on what we talked about, and I feel like where I have been falling off track with the habits, I notice my mind improvement a lot. And like I've been discussing with you earlier, I'm learning to challenge my emotions a little bit more, recognize my thoughts a lot better and stuff like that. So where I'm falling out a habit with the routines and stuff, where my savers, and which this past week was actually a good week for me. I didn't journal so much as to say, but like, I told you I picked up a trainer for my bike, right, Larry? And I've been riding that in the morning. And whenever I'm, on the trainer, I'm doing affirmations and I'm visualizing, and then I'm talking my gratitude to myself and that kind of thing. And then, if I wake up and I really feel like I'm having a struggle day, or I'm going to, that's when I'm like, all right, cool, let's write some stuff down. And so it's not like I'm done with this journey. I'm more or less modifying it to my lifestyle at this point in time, because I mean, I need to, like we've discussed, this is a big ship that I'm turning, and I'm trying not to take it so hard on myself.
Well, I like the fact that you mentioned you leverage your activity by exercising and doing other activities while you're doing it.
Yeah. Listening to books, or I'll, try to read a chapter while I'm sweating, and that doesn't work out at all, to tell you the truth. I tried doing that once and I'm like, okay, this is impossible for me to put an effort in on my bike and read this book at the same time. So I'll put on Audible and stuff like that. So we're still on the journey. It's just I feel like at this point in time where some weeks I'll have like what led into last episode and me talking about it. I was kind of depressed, and I had felt that, and at the same time, the depression was stemming from me giving myself a lot of negative self-talk and stuff like that. So it's one of those things where, as before, I wouldn't have been able to really recognize that, and now I am, and that's a big deal.
Yeah, awareness is the big number one step before you have change. You got to be aware that there is an issue.
Yeah,
and then you have the desire to want to change that.
Yeah, and then do what it takes. Like I don't know if we mentioned it in the podcast, but I had recently started doing this new thing, which I haven't done in the past, and that's something where I just repeat to myself, like, Nick, I love you. And I feel like that really made a huge difference to me, because I'm generally a very like caring and giving person overall with people, and I share my love with a lot of people. But I've never really shared my love with myself. I've always been, and so me just being like, Nick, I love you, and tell myself that whenever I'm feeling in a funk, and no matter whatever mood I'm in, and that just is something that's reinforcing to this whole journey. I really feel like is me saying that, and and I feel better for it. And it's as cheesy as it sounds, I really feel like that's something that is huge to practice, is a lot of that self-love, and letting your conscious, your subconscious know that, like, hey, I love you. Like, you're still worth, something to me as a person. And let's get rid of this depression. Let's get rid of this funk that we're in, and that kind of stuff. So
I'm glad you brought that up because I think our ability to love people is directly related to how we love ourselves and accept ourselves.
yeah.
And I think that keeps our emotions more in check.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to read something to you guys here. And this is something that Larry gave to me a long time ago when we first started talking. And this is what I answer my questions to. And this is kind of a thing that can remind you to get out of this state of, okay, I'm going to start falling back into my bad habits, or, and that kind of stuff. So this is something that's really powerful. And this is the autobiography in 5 short chapters by, is that
Portia Nelson.
Portia Nelson. I walk down the road. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Now, chapter 2. I walk down the same road. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place. But it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same road. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it's there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same road. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down another road. And then, so for me personally, I really enjoy that because whenever I'm starting to do my questions, the only thing I visualize is I walk down another road. And then my first question is what do I want to see down this road? And so I feel like that's a powerful question to ask yourself, because when you're asking yourself, what do you want to see down this road? You're asking yourself, what do I want to see in my life journey? Right, Larry?
Right.
Where do I want to go with myself? And then, from there you can think about a problem that you might be having and say, okay, well, this is the road that I'm on, and this is the problem. And what do I want to see with this problem? And then how can I improve the situation? How can I make myself more resilient in this problem? Or whatever your problem consists of. Maybe what do you think, Larry? What are some questions that people can ask themselves?
Well, about what you just mentioned, the desired result they want to achieve, and maybe journaling would help here. As I say, hey, what do I want my life to look and feel like 5 years from now?
Yeah,
and then plan back.
Yeah,
3 years, 1 year, and then say, well, what can I do now on a weekly or daily basis to help achieve that goal? And I would suggest just, if you're doing new habits, and there's a lot of books on it. I like Atomic Habit by James Clear, but pick 1 or 2 things that you're habits you want to integrate in your lifestyle. Don't do a bunch. Problem. I was coaching a person the other day, and he gave me 10 new things he wanted to do. And I go, whoa. We better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said, let's prioritize it. Why don't you get good at one and then another one?
Yeah. Do that 1%. Keep improving 1% at a time. Yeah.
And so James Clear talks about habit stacking. Once you've got a habit of 3 or 4 things every morning, maybe you can add another one on top of that.
Yeah.
But it's back to that sharpening saw analogy. I think we related to that story.
Yeah, we talked about that story, yeah.
Where you're just every day you're sharpening saws. A few minutes, it makes you more efficient through the rest of your day.
And that's like your new habits that you're practicing, your meditation, your journaling, your wake up patterns, your sleep patterns, all that stuff is sharpening your mental saw, and which is going to improve how you can react in life overall.
That's right. It improves performance throughout the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want your day to become more manageable and enjoyable, you do those in the morning. It really helps. It creates a different mindset.
Oh, it does.
And when you
Yeah.
come to work and you feel blessed, you feel much more wanting to help bless others.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And as you bless them, you get a reciprocating feel good.
I was reading something, and it's I'm gonna mess this up again, like I always do, and so, man, I'm gonna have to look this up. We'll edit this out, Larry, but I'm gonna hit pause real quick.
So, Nick, I hear you told me a wonderful story about sometimes happiness is somewhat elusive, but there's a way to receive it. So, what's that story about?
So I was one of my habits that I've improved on, because I make it healthy things, but I still recognize I do a lot too much time on it, and that's cruising socials, Instagram, right? But I came across this post on Instagram earlier this week, and it was about a teacher, and the teacher takes his students, and he has his students, gives them all a balloon, has them inflate their balloon, and then has the students write their name on the balloon, and then they all like toss the balloon away, and and not pay attention to where their specific balloon goes or whatever. Then he gives the students 10 minutes to find their own balloon with their name on it. And while a few can find, their balloon, not all of them do. And the 10 minutes goes by, and maybe like 30% of the class has found their balloon. And then he does a second round where he's like, okay, now what I want you to do is just pick up one balloon. And it doesn't matter if it has your name on it or not, but hand it to the person it belongs to. And so he gave them, again, 10 minutes to get this done. And, the class was done with this exercise in 7 minutes or whatever, right? And then the teacher's like, okay, cool. So this is everybody got their balloon back to them. This is directly related to happiness, because whenever you go searching for happiness on your own, and not caring about what other people got going on, you're not going to find it. But whenever you try to give happiness to other people, that's whenever you find happiness. And so if we can approach life like that, just trying to make other people happy or improve other people's lives, it's going to make a significant impact on our life and improvement. And I really, really enjoyed that. And it's directly related to, us making self-improvement and how we can improve ourselves through helping other people's lives as well, which is a big deal.
Well, I think that relates to this the story you just said about the 5 short chapters.
Yeah.
I think we get out of the hole faster in life and deal with our challenges better when we start looking outside ourselves and helping others.
Yeah.
I just found it personally. When I start working with helping other people, somehow I find solutions to the issues that I'm challenged. It brings a different mindset. So it's back to that. If I start feeling blessed, it helps me help others feel blessed.
Yeah.
And when I do that, it reciprocates back.
Yeah. It's where we get this reward from it, because we're providing service to other people.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So from there, we're going to get into a few ways to, continue to stay focused and to get yourself back on track if you've fallen off a track with your self-improvement.
Well, one thing I found in that was getting an action partner. We've talked about this.
Yeah, 100%.
So years ago, I think I mentioned this. I gave a guy a check for $500. That may not seem a lot, but back then that was a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
And I said, if I don't fax my results, back then I had fax. We didn't have internet.
Yeah.
And I said, if I don't fax my results, every Monday morning you have permission to deposit that check.
Yeah, or it doesn't have to be money.
No,
it could be like,
that's what I did personally.
Well, yeah. What do you? It's really take a lot of pride in, or if you mess up and don't do your, things and don't report to me, like you're gonna have to shave your head or something like that.
Or something maybe more positive. I was kind
Yeah.
of a negative, but I'm saying finding something to reward yourself.
Yeah.
So there's other things that I think, well, if I could do this all during the week, what will I reward myself by Friday?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I would reward myself on a date night with my wife on Friday if I accomplish certain things during that week.
Heck yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, whether it's an action partner or someone else to help you, it's same with jogging. I didn't get into it until I had a friend that said, "Hey, I'll be there and we'll go do it together."
Yeah.
So much easier.
Yeah. Yeah. That's for sure. So why focus matters in self-improvement? Larry, from your perspective, why is maintaining focus so essential in self-improvement?
It keeps you on the pathway. Life's going to be derailing sometimes, just like we talked about falling in the hole.
Yeah.
But if you're focused, you're much more apt to get back on the track again.
It's more like it's a journey, not a destination, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So just reminding yourself that you're forever on a journey and that you're never really going to get to a point where you're done. There's going to be no destination to get to. So just enjoy the journey.
Journey.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, don't beat yourself up. Some people get off track. And they go, "Oh, I was on my goals. I didn't do it."
Yeah.
And then they beat themselves up.
Exactly. Yeah. And learn to recognize, okay, like maybe, yeah, okay, this week I was off, and you're going to have those weeks that you're off, and you're going to have weeks that you're on. And then at the same time, sit here and go, okay, but am I actually making improvements? And if you start looking at how you're reacting and the actual improvements that you're making, okay, then it's not so bad, And that's like I was discussing with you. That's something that I ran into personally, where I was like beating myself up, and just being depressed, and like I discussed, and as I'll tell you guys right now, I had quit nicotine. I was chewing nicotine pouches, and now I had quit. And which can be quite mood enhancing whenever you're, trying to wean or get off of nicotine. And you can have some times where you might feel anger. You might feel like, okay, I want to have this back. And the one thing that I've noticed with myself is like, okay, cool, I'm quitting nicotine, and I can preemptively recognize my brain going to a place. And this is a result of my withdrawal and the fact that, okay, this is not how I'm going to react, and this and that. So and then being able to actually have the awareness to recognize that's a big deal, especially for me. And because because I've quit before, but I was, angry and not willing to recognize that I'm in charge of my emotions. They're not in charge of me, and stuff like that. So through this process, through this self-improvement, that's something that I'm like, all right, cool. I can recognize that I'm making this change now. And so that kind of helps me stay focused, is the fact that I'm seeing these improvements. All right, cool. Let's keep on track with what I'm doing. So what are some practical tools for maintaining focus? What do you think, Larry?
Well, sometimes people will put pictures on their mirrors.
Okay.
Keep some more affirmation statements.
Yeah, like vision boards.
And then
Yeah.
they're saying, okay, here's what I'm trying to work towards in my life. So stuff that reminds them to help them stay on the track.
And SMART goals. What's that SMART acronym stand for?
Specific, measurable, attainable, reasonable, and time bound.
So if you use the SMART goal setting technique, that's going to be something that really helps. The time bound is a big deal as well. Like, I'm going to give myself this amount. Time bound can be a lot of things, right? It can be like, I want to do this goal at this point in time in the morning, or I want to have this stuff done by this segment in time in my life too.
Yeah. So when I was preparing to ride that Tour de France route last year,
yeah,
I actually had a program that my coach had me work on. And so he says, here's the goal. And then the training program actually told me what I had to do every day
Yeah.
to get to the point where I could do it.
Yeah.
So, and that was time bound. It says you got to put in so many hours a day, and here's what you got to do, and here's how many watts you got to expend when you work out.
Tracking progress is another big tool. Where it's through like apps or a simple journal, seeing your progress can be a huge motivator. And that's where my journal is really big, because I can go back 6 months ago and look at my mental state then,
Yeah.
which was just not very stable, to looking at my mental state now and being like, okay, wow, I still have some stuff to work on. And some grieving to do and stuff like that, but at the same time, I'm handling it a lot better than I was. So that's a big deal. Mindfulness practices.
Yeah, I do that every day.
Meditation.
Meditate. I mean, that gets your mind more grounded.
Oh yeah.
It helps set the tone for the day.
Helps you recognize your thoughts and it gives you the awareness for your thoughts and your emotions and all kinds of stuff. I didn't realize how powerful. Well, for me, meditation is hugely powerful. It's something that I really appreciate the fact that I started practicing, and it's not intimidating anymore. And at the same time, it's not where I went into meditation thinking, okay, cool, my mind needs to be blank. and it's not that at all. It's learning to recognize that no matter what, I'm thinking about stuff. Let's just recognize my thoughts and let them go. They come and go like waves waves in the ocean. And so just letting our brain do its thing, and then recognizing that what I'm thinking or feeling is not who I am, and it doesn't dictate. I get to choose how I react to those things. They don't get to dictate how I react.
Good point. I kind of like to think that mindful meditation is like, what do you call it? Strengthening your mental muscles. You know how you do exercise?
Yeah.
You spend so much time on that. Well, meditation and mindfulness is the same thing. It's helping your mind get stronger and more aware and being more proactive in your life.
Oh, yeah. So energy management. This is going to be something that I'm going to try to learn to practice. I think this is something that I need to incorporate a little bit more. Energy management, finding your peak productivity times, and aligning your self-improvement activities with those times can make a big difference. So I think, and I know this for sure, that I have no energy in the morning. But at nighttime, once the sun goes down, I'm like, all right, cool. My brain just turns on. Don't get me wrong. I love, the sun, and I love being, active during the daytime. But whenever that, I don't know what it is, Larry, and it's been like this since I've been a kid. And as soon as that sun goes down, my brain's like, all right, cool. Let's do stuff. Let's get creative.
See, I'm the opposite. Man, my creativity's at 6 a.m. and I don't know when that started, maybe back in the 30s or 40s, but I was like you when I was young.
Uh-huh.
But then I have the switch now. When it gets 8, 9 p.m., my mind's just mush. I want to just pass out.
I don't know what it is.
And it's in the morning as my creativity time.
Yeah, I get home from work and I'll sit there and relax for about an hour, watch whatever show I'm watching, and then it's just like, all right, like, hey, we're turned on, let's do stuff. And also I'm like, all right, cool, let's go sit at the computer and edit and be creative or read a book or something like that. And then the next thing I know, it's almost midnight. And I'm like, man, like, here I go. Like, I wanted to get up early tomorrow, but whatever, It's so trying to change that pattern, I think, is going to be really difficult for me. But I'm going to start, instead of trying to defeat it, maybe embrace it a little bit more. And work on my self-improvement techniques and my journaling and stuff like that at that point in time as well.
Good.
All right, so something else that can really help you stay on track and keep focused and continuing for that self-improvement is tackling challenges. We all face challenges. For me, staying disciplined amidst a busy schedule is a big challenge for me. My I'm in a very big leadership role in my work, and trying to navigate that all day, and then thinking about whenever I get home, there's like some work that I take home with me sometimes, about stuff that I need to fix or think about with the shop and that kind of thing. And then I gotta eat dinner, because I get home at like 6:37, got to eat dinner, and then from there it's like, okay, now what do I need to work on now? Okay, so I need to try to make an Instagram post for the podcast, or I need to do do all these things. I have a book that I checked out of the library that I want to try to read. I have a bunch of stuff that I'm trying to accomplish, and it's staying like, and then not being all like, okay, cool, well, I just really want to relax. I've had not a overly extensive day at work, but I was at work for almost 9-10 hours, and I want to chill out for a little bit and that kind of stuff, and just reminding myself to be disciplined among all that, and not getting defeated by my relaxing brain.
What thing that's helped me is when, if I have some stuff I got to get done, but I also want to do the relaxation stuff, chill out, as you put it.
Yeah.
I try to get the stuff on my savers list or whatever it is. Things I need to get done, and then that's my reward for doing it.
It's getting
because if I go to the relaxing stuff, I won't get back to the other.
Yeah, that's no joke. Yeah, that's.
So I kind of think, I'm going to finish this. Like right now, I'm rewriting an autobiography for my grandkids, and I just spend a few minutes every day. It was such an overwhelming project. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I thought, no, I'm just going to carve out 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes, and then just knock it out.
Yeah, heck yeah. Okay.
So that's why I just make it more bite-sized. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Make it a little bit and say, okay, I'm just going to knock out 10 minutes here, 15 minutes here, and then I'll go do something else.
So the Pomodoro technique is something that you're practicing, that, working that 20 minutes, giving yourself a 5-minute, 10-minute break.
Right.
Working for 20 minutes, okay. And having a support network. That's a big deal. Friends, family, or mentor. Your accountability partner, somebody that can keep you accountable and keep you uplifted and keep you kind of focused and staying on track is another big thing for sure, to maintaining that whole focus aspect. And another thing is that I've found that really helped me is going into like Meetup, which is an app that'll have a bunch of different like programs or groups that meet and discuss like philosophy or death, or they play board games, and there's all kinds of groups that get together through the Meetup app. And I've really enjoyed going in there and be like, oh, okay, cool, that looks like something that I'd want to take on and go and just see what this meeting is about, and then going in there and just putting myself out there, going to that group and actually really enjoying myself, and at the same time having the awareness to recognize that this is something that is getting me out of my shell. It's experiencing me to new and different people and how they think about things and that kind of stuff. And at the same time, I can make a little bit of an influence on them and let them, show them how I think about things and what I've learned in the past 6 months or so. And then so I'm kind of, reinforcing that whole process again. through self-improvement is sharing it with other people, and sharing it and teaching it. And it's not like you have to, like, this is what you need to do and pin them down. It's just like, well, I found whenever I do this, this happens for me, and that's the end of it, right? That's all the knowledge that you need to share. And just by doing that, you don't know who you're affecting. Maybe somebody's like, oh, okay, cool. Well, let me try that. The guy that I never, that I met this first time at this meeting said that this is what he does whenever he encounters this problem. And it works for him, and he seems to be a happy person. Let me try it out. And then next thing you know, you've influenced somebody's life. And it's just by sharing that little bit tidbit of knowledge. That's another thing that I found that has really helped me stay on track with my self-improvement and want to continue it, is the fact that I get to share it with other people and give them happiness, like we discussed, so I can have some for myself.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I think, in fact, what you said before, asking yourself a lot of questions, journaling helps help resolve some challenges, because
Oh, yeah.
different questions creates a paradigm shift in the sense that you see the problem at a different angle.
Yeah.
But as you learn that, then you go, wow, I never saw that. I'd like to share that.
Exactly.
I mean, that's with life. You find something, you go, oh man, this is awesome. I think I didn't know this. Maybe I should share it with other people. And what that does is that helps you and them grow.
Exactly. It really does. And it's reinforcing the whole aspect of what you're learning, and giving it to other people, teaching it is something that I really enjoy, because it, like I said, and I've mentioned this before, I'm doing it for 100% selfish reasons because it's reinforcing what I'm learning. Getting to share it with other people.
Sometimes I wonder if that creates a dopamine surge. It's a different type of addiction, but this is a good one.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
And
for sure. It is.
It's a feel good. You go, oh, that's great, versus being dependent on something else to feel good.
Exactly.
When you help other people, you feel good. You go, hey, I like this feeling.
Yeah.
And it creates more purpose and meaning in your life. And when you create more purpose and meaning in your life, there you're on more of a journey of joy and happiness.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Yeah. And you guys might feel like we're on this like record that is just repeating over and over again, and it's one of those things where that's almost what it needs to be, but you have to keep hearing this. You have to keep saying it. You have to, it has to be this continuous repetitive cycle. And no matter how much you feel like, oh, well, I've already heard this before and it hasn't made an effect on me or whatever. And it's one of those things where just hearing it over and over again, there's going to be one of those things where one of these days it's like going to be like this switch goes off, and you're going to be like, oh, okay, now I get it. And now I see why everything, incorporates together, and all this stuff that Nick and Larry are talking about is something that works all in this big giant circle. And I see why the repetition is key, and so as much as I feel like we're boring you, at the same time, this is something that I'm passionate about, and just recently discovered this passion. Larry's been passionate about it for a very long time, and it may seem repetitive or monotonous or something that's just this never-ending do it over and over and over and over and over again. But at the same time, that's what it needs to be, because this is how we get to where we're in a better state, and this is how we can actually help other people, and this is how we can improve our lives and at the same turn improve other people's lives, because that's what this is all about. I mean, we're in this giant circle together. We're in this world together, and there's no point in letting our opinions or differences of opinions or differences of lifestyle affect how we view others. Let's just realize that we need to let that all go and help each other out. And where this is, I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent here. I really feel like the repetition of what Larry and I talk about is a big deal, because we want it to be reinforced for
Want to
sure.
help you out. Back
Yeah.
to you're saying what when you're faced with challenges, and we talked just a minute ago about that. When you're faced with a significant challenge or issues in your life,
Yeah.
just ask yourself, what can I do today to make a positive difference in someone's life?
Yeah.
You could ask that yourself every day. As you do that, believe it or not, solutions will come to your mind as to the issues you face.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be something big. It doesn't have to be
No,
something that costs you
no.
money.
You can text someone and say, "Hey, I want to tell you how much you appreciate." You know,
Yeah, you can whenever you're at the the restaurant or wherever your fast food place getting food and the person who hands it to you, you just smile at them and say, "Thank you. I appreciate what you do." That's really all it takes. Maybe you just telling that person that they appreciate what they do is going to,
make their whole day.
make their whole day. You never know what your positivity towards somebody is gonna how it's gonna benefit them, and I feel I really like and I really enjoy that because it's one of those things where it's like, okay, it may not have made an effect, but what if it does? And if it made that little effect on them, maybe they'll go out and make a little effect on somebody else. So I think that's where we're gonna wrap up today, Larry. And yeah, we're gonna have to struggle for what we're gonna talk about next week, but I think we'll get something. And if you guys have any ideas or anything that you want us to talk about, yeah, email us lovetruthleadership.podcast@gmail.com, and we'll make sure to incorporate it in a subject. I know my aunt really wants us to talk about the blue zones, those.
Right.
Yeah, which I mean, I kind of feel like that's getting off subject, but it's something that we might be able to.
Well, we can talk about health.
Yeah.
What I found.
Yeah, for sure. Well, anyways, I'm Nick.
I'm Larry.
And this is LTL. Thank you for listening.
Have a grateful day.
There we go.